Barney, he'll wave a paw his friends to greet. Barney, Barney, he likes to hear a story or two. Barney, Barney, he wants to be a friend to you.
Hello boys and girls, and welcome to the Barney Bear Club. Here's Barney, he's waving already. You're waving at all the boys and girls and the teddy bears, Barney. There, you're all excited, aren't you? It's the final chapter in the story of Esther. Now, have you brought your Barney bag with you today? Let me bring it up for you. Oh, look at that bag. That's a very nice bag, Barney. It's a smart one. I can hear something rattling in that bag. Is it letters for the story? Shall I get them out? You hold it for me, that's it. And I'll get the letters out. Right. What letter's that? It's a Q, that's right. Pink E. That one, look. It's a B. They're not in order yet, are they? A T. An A. It's an N, that's right. And what's this one? A red U. Is that everything? It is, yes. How many letters have we got there, Barney? You think there's 7? There is, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, we're going to start by talking about a banquet. Do you think those letters might spell banquet? You can see a B. What colour's the B? That's right. Put that up then. B. What do you think comes next for banquet? Let's just turn that one the right way round so we don't get confused. The red A, that's right. What's next? N. What's next? You think it's Q-E-T? Let's put the Q up. Now, what letter is it that normally goes after a Q that you don't usually hear? Is it the U? That's right. In our language, you normally get a U after a Q, don't you? And the last 2 letters, the E and the T. How's that? There we are. And that spells out banquet. Well done. Now, I thought you would be interested to see, and the boys and girls would be interested to see, the kind of things that we would see on a banquet table in England. Now, would you like to have a look? Now, what colour is everything? Silver and red, yes, it would look very smart. It wouldn't necessarily be silver and red, but it would look very smart, and all the food would be the finest and best food and the finest and best things to drink. Now what can we see? What are these just there, Barney? The candles, yes, and what colour are they? Red, yes, and now do you know what they are? You're not sure? Well, they're candle holders. And what colour are they? Silver ones, yes. Now what about this? It's a glass, yes. It's a cut glass, made specially. It's very pretty, yes it is. Now, and what is this? Yes, it's a serviette. And what colour is that? Red. And there's a silver plate as well. Shall we hold it up for the boys and girls to see? Now what shape is that plate, Barney? Can you think what shape it is? It's oval, that's right. And what else can we see on the table? Some cutlery, yes. Now, do you think you can name all the cutlery? What's this? A fork, yes, that's right. And we've got 2 forks at this side. Now, what about this one? It's a spoon now. Do you know what kind of spoon that is? A dessert spoon, well done. You know your cutlery well, Barney. And what is this? It's a knife, that's right. And now there's another spoon. And that's a spoon that you would start with. What kind of spoon is that? It's a soup spoon. What are you sure about, Barney? There's no cutlery at the top of the plate. What cutlery would you normally have at the top of the plate? One's for the dessert, yes. In our homes we would probably have a spoon, and maybe a spoon and a fork at the top of our plate, wouldn't we? But in a banquet, all the cutlery is at each side of the plate, and then you start from the outside and work in. So you start with the soup spoon, and then you'd use your knife and fork for your main course, and then you'd use your dessert spoon and another fork, which is usually a bit smaller than your main fork, for your dessert. Yes, it's a very smart occasion, a banquet. You'd have to get all dressed up. You'd probably put a special bow on, yes you would. Now, where did we get to with the story? Can you remember the story of Esther? The king wanted to honour Mordecai. He did, because Mordecai had saved the king's life. And who else was in the story who was a very nasty person? That's right, so let's put Haman up. Haman was the one who wanted to harm all the Jews, wasn't he? That's it. Haman. And Haman, he decided he wanted to kill Mordecai straight away. Do you remember? And so he went to see the king, and he was waiting to see the king the following morning. And it's quite funny really, isn't it? Because the king wanted to honour Mordecai, and Haman wanted to kill him. So the king said to the man who was reading the record, he says, "Is anybody there in the palace who I can speak to about this matter?" Haman was there, wasn't he? Yes, he turned up. And so the king said, "Bring Haman in, and I will ask him what he thinks about honouring Mordecai for doing this wonderful thing for me." And so Haman went to see the king, and the king said, "Haman, if you wanted to honour somebody who'd done something wonderful for you, what would you do?" And Haman said to the king, Haman thought it was him. He thought he was going to be honoured. And so he said, "Well, I would fetch the best horse, a horse that the king has ridden with a crest on it, and I would fetch the best robe that the king has worn." It's funny, isn't it? Yes. And he said, "And I would put this man who you want to honour on the horse, wearing the robe, and parade him through all the city, and you would shout out in front of him, 'This is what the king does to a man he wants to honour.'" And so what do you think the king said? He said to go and do that to Mordecai. He did, didn't he? Yes. And so Haman, who hated Mordecai, had to go and fetch a horse and put a robe on Mordecai and take him through the streets. Now, wasn't that wonderful that the king remembered what Mordecai had done for him, and he said thank you. So even kings and people high up like to say thank you, because it's important to say thank you to people, isn't it? It's a very nice thing to do. Now meanwhile, Haman and the king had been invited to a second banquet, hadn't they? And this was chance for Esther to tell the king what she was worried about. And this time when they went to the banquet, Queen Esther turned to the king, to King Xerxes, and King Xerxes said to her, Queen Esther, now please tell me why it is you've invited us to this banquet. You can have even half the kingdom I will give to you. And so Esther, she turned to the king and she says, oh, King Xerxes, she said, I'm so worried because a terrible evil man has put all my people in danger and myself as well, and Mordecai, because we're all Jews, and this man has commanded with your approval that all my people are to be killed. And so the king didn't realise who she was talking about at first. And then, who is this terrible man? And Esther says, it's this man here, it's Haman. And so how do you think Haman felt? He was really scared, yes. But it was too late, he couldn't do anything about it. And because the king realised the evil thing that Haman had done, Haman was killed. And everything turned out wonderful because the king sent out another decree because Esther pleaded with him to do something to save the Jews, her people. And so the king sent out a message and says on the day, because he couldn't change what the law that had already gone out about the Jews, and so he said, what we're going to do is I will send out another decree. So if anybody tried to harm the Jews on the 13th day of the 12th month, they were allowed to protect themselves. And so all the Jews were kept safe. Isn't that wonderful? And so, because Esther became queen, let's see what this is going to say, Barney. The Jewish people, right throughout Persia where Esther was queen, they were saved. Isn't that wonderful? Now we see Esther again before we finish with the story. She's a beautiful lady, isn't she? She was a brave lady, wasn't she, Barney? And I'll put the crown on for her because it's because she became queen and she did the right thing for God's people that she survived and all God's people survived as well. Isn't that wonderful? Did you enjoy that story? Shall we say goodbye to the boys and girls now? Bye boys and girls, thank you for listening to the story of Esther and see you next time.
His name is Barney, Barney, the